Ukrainian's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he believes the relationship between Kiev and Washington can be salvaged after talks between himself and US President Donald Trump descended into a petulant shouting match. But speaking to US media, he said he didn't think he owed Trump an apology. Later this weekend, he'll have an opportunity to meet European leaders in London for a debrief following an outpour of messages of support from leaders across Europe. For more on this, we're joined by Professor John Stremlau from Wits University's International Relations Department. Prof Stremlau, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. When one president tells another president you are gambling with World War III, how do we interpret that? What does that even mean?
Well, it was an ambush on the part of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, the vice president, and I felt very sorry for the abuse that was given out to Zelensky, the prime minister from Ukraine, and it was an embarrassing moment for me and for a lot of people because Trump wants a settlement on any terms, and he wants it quickly. And so Putin is really the strong man in the room, and he's willing to concede to Putin in order to get a settlement. And this is we've seen this act before with regard to Afghanistan and the Taliban back in the first administration of Trump. He just wants a deal.
Yeah. I want to share with you a view shared by South African political analyst Ibrahim Fakir. I want to get your view on it. It's quite a different perspective that Ibrahim Fakir shares. He says Trump is upending the fakery that goes with the duplicity of diplomacy and stripping it of its sophistry. This is how foreign affairs and international politics should be. An honest statement of your position, why you want it, and how you propose to do it, without the trappings of flattery and faux politeness and protocol. It's recidivist, but honest. We now know what we're dealing with, and everyone must engage in politics purely and merely on the basis of self-interest. Nothing else. It is contractual and transactional. Is that a fair assessment of what this moment had presented? A stripping down of the sophistication of international relations and diplomacy and giving us the bare naked truth of international affairs as it is?
No, it's not. It's not the way it is, and the international order, which was created after World War II to prevent World War III. And I know that Trump has threatened Zelensky in this unseemly badgering of Zelensky to accuse him of causing World War III. But nevertheless, the kind of understanding for sovereign equality, territorial integrity, at a time when the major powers were at loggerheads, nevertheless did provide a certain stability, and Trump is undoing that right now. And the work of diplomacy, the hard work of diplomacy, is that you've got to seek compromise, just as Cyril Ramaphosa knows full well and has practiced those both domestically and in this country's foreign relations. So I'm sorry, I identify with Cyril Ramaphosa.
Just quickly on this, because the bottom line is that Ukraine still needs the arms, the money and the support, and America, on the other hand, still wants to access Ukraine's mineral resources, particularly its critical minerals. Can Europe and European leaders, after meeting this weekend, put pressure on Donald Trump to sign a deal that has guarantees encoded in it?
Well, that's the big question that you're asking, and I know that this is going to test Europe as never before because Trump is Trump. But also bear in mind that Trump is on a roll right now, and he's flooding the zone with all sorts of initiatives that there's going to be a reaction domestically within the United States. And so we have to watch very carefully whether he walks back his hardline position that he articulated to Zelensky, and that is contrary to the past role of the United States in Europe and with NATO and with friendly democracies the world over. And it's just going to be a very, very difficult time if he does not walk it back, if his confrontation with Zelensky. Then we are in uncharted waters for sure. Given what underpins Donald Trump's approach to foreign policy and international affairs is a transactional, realism-based international foreign affairs policies. What does Donald Trump stand to gain from Russia and Putin should he capitulate and quite literally concede Ukraine to Russia? What does he stand to gain? Well, from his standpoint, he would get a peace agreement, and he would preen with that peace agreement. But the devil is in the details of any agreement, and they've got to be carefully and thoroughly negotiated, and a compromise sought that is viable and defensible. And Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, and the Ukrainians have fought courageously, and they are overstretched. And Zelensky is in a weakened position relative to Russia, and he's always been that way. But the Europeans are prepared to give additional support. And the Americans, I don't know what Trump is going to do, and you know, we will have to see. Yeah, just the last question, Prof Stremlau. In 2023, President Cyril Ramaphosa had led a delegation of African leaders on a visit to Moscow and to Kiev to try and broker a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia. Is there room, once again, given what transpired in the White House, for the African interlocutory mechanism to once again kick in to broker a peace negotiation between Russia and Ukraine, given that the President Ramaphosa and various African leaders have both the ears and the hearts and perhaps even the trust of both Vladimir Zelensky as well as Vladimir Putin? I would narrow it down to say that Cyril Ramaphosa has that ability, and his extension of an invitation to a visit here by Zelensky is one of the encouraging signs that maybe a peace agreement can be forged from these very, very difficult circumstances. You know, I don't fault for Trump for pushing for a peace agreement, but he's got to realize that it's got to be on both sides satisfactory, and that's what Cyril Ramaphosa understands full well. And so the fact that he has invited Zelensky down here gives me some degree of hope. Yeah. Prof Stremlau, thank you so much for your time and your insights. I really do appreciate it. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Prof John Stremlau is at the Wits University's International Relations Department.